Hey everyone, it's Argonath here from The Right Way, and I'm sure you've all been following the terrible things that are going on in the Ukraine. Absolute unprovoked attack from Russia, and many people are losing their lives. A lot of countries have been condemning Vladimir Putin and Russia for the things that they're doing, obviously, which is completely correct. But let's have a look at New Zealand's amazingly strong stand against Russia and Putin. So this was on the 24th of February when things were just starting out. New Zealand condemns Russian invasion of Ukraine. This is put out by Jacinda Ardern, the Prime Minister, and Nanaia Mahuta, who is the Foreign Affairs Minister. So this is off the official New Zealand government website. New Zealand condemns Russian invasion of Ukraine and calls on Russia to cease military operations in Ukraine immediately and withdraw. Immediate implementation of a number of measures, including a travel ban on Russian government officials associated with the invasion. I'm sure that they must be absolutely devastated that they're not able to come to New Zealand anymore, and they're probably going to go behind Putin's back and call back all the soldiers. I'm sure that's going to do the trick, right? New Zealand suspends bilateral foreign ministry consultations with Russia, limiting diplomatic engagement. What the hell does that actually mean? Does it mean you're not going to talk to them on the phone or send emails to them? What kind of weak thing is that for a measure to help stop the invasion? That's absolutely ridiculous. Prime Minister, you shouldn't even have to say that. That should just be a given. You don't need to say that out. Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern and Foreign Minister Nanaia Mahuta say New Zealand condemns Russian invasion of Ukraine and will join partners in introducing a range of measures in response. This unprovoked attack by Russia, by choosing to pursue this entirely avoidable path, an unthinkable number of innocent lives could be lost because of Russia. Well, not could be, they have been lost and they will be lost. There's no way to get around it. We call on Russia to do what is right and immediately cease military operations in Ukraine and permanently withdraw to avoid a catastrophic and pointless loss of innocent life. Well, that's just pretty much anything, something that anyone would actually say. It is through diplomacy, not unnecessary death and destruction, that all parties can find a resolution. New Zealand has consistently expressed our strong support for international efforts to de-escalate the Ukraine crisis diplomatically. Given Russia has demonstrated disregard for these efforts, they must now face the consequence of their decision to invade, Nanaia Mahuta said. New Zealand will implement these number of measures which will completely devastate Russia. Introduce travel bans to Russian officials in line with the number of our partners. Oh my God, is that the best you can do? Travel bans again. Oh, Putin's not going to be able to come to New Zealand. He must be devastated. Prohibit the export of goods to Russian military and security forces. What? What do you think we are exporting to Russian military and security forces? Probably some lamb and beef or something, I guess. Certainly we're not sending them arms or intelligence or anything like that. That's nothing. Suspend bilateral foreign ministry consultations until... So, no talks, no emails. What a load of absolute crap. In applying these measures, New Zealand joins other members of the international community in responding to this breach. Germany is sending arms. Australia is sending arms. They've made economic sanctions against Russia, but no, New Zealand has not done anything like this, and I'll talk about why in a minute for those of you that aren't in New Zealand or are in New Zealand and haven't heard about this. Just a more babble going on from the government. What an absolutely weak response from our government. They're too scared to do anything. They're good at talking, as we can see down here. They're good at talking, but they're not good at doing anything, right? It doesn't do anything. We should be putting restrictions on all export into Russia, so that if you hit the people make it known, and maybe something will happen. I'm not saying that it will, but it's better than what this stupid government is actually doing as well. So that was on the 24th of February. So today, which is the 1st of March, we have an article about still the New Zealand government have not done anything further than those weak things that have been said. Again, they're good at talking. Slava Ukraini, Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern said as she asked Parliament to join her in condemning Russia's invasion to Ukraine. The proclamation, which translates to glory to Ukraine, has become a battle cry for the Ukrainian people. Again, she's good at all the virtue signaling weak stuff, but she's useless when doing anything, and pretty much the same with her COVID response as well. So a motion was passed in the House in New Zealand which called on Russia to withdraw its military from Ukraine. Came hours after New Zealand added key members of the Belarusian government to its travel ban. Oh my God, the Belarusian government officials must be devastated too. They're not allowed to travel to New Zealand either. What a hard-hitting measure that this hard-hitting government has actually taken. Amazing. Now let's have a look at why New Zealand haven't done anything further like total economic sanctions and things like that. But Ardern's government has faced criticism for not pursuing further sanctions on Russia or offering refuge to family members of Ukrainian New Zealanders. We encourage government to take two simple steps so that New Zealand can play an even stronger role. First, urgently pass autonomous sanctions legislation. We are willing to work with and support the government to get legislation through the House, but let's do it quickly, National Party leader Christopher Luxon said. So Christopher Luxon, the leader of the National Party, the opposition party, has got the right idea. We need to introduce our own sanctions. Now, the reason why we can't do that is stupidly New Zealand has in its legislation that we can only do sanctions for sanctions which are approved by the United Nations. And guess what? Russia is on the UN and they're not going to vote for any sanctions against themselves, are they? So New Zealand can't do anything, right? The National Party has said we can pass this legislation so that we can actually do this. But no, the government is still dithering and not doing anything because they're the masters of doing nothing. That's exactly what they are. Second, create a humanitarian visa for the family members of Ukrainians already in New Zealand. That should be a no-brainer as well. Jacinda Ardern, who's supposed to be kind to everyone, you should be doing this straight away. Get in, make a deal with, well, not a deal, but get behind the National Party and get onto this. Absolutely ridiculous. ACT Party, another opposition party, David Seymour said he backed the National Party's call for the government to urgently pass legislation allowing it to enact direct economic sanctions against Russia. This is a government that will go into urgency in this parliament at the drop of a hat. Doesn't even have to be urgent. If there was ever a time to use urgency, then passing autonomous sanctions legislation, that's the time to use urgency right now. Oh my God. Jacinda Ardern is so hopeless as a Prime Minister. She only does anything when she sees that it's going to affect her poll ratings. That's the only reason why she does anything. Absolute disgrace of a government. And anyone who voted Labour in the last election should be hang your heads in shame to allow this kind of ridiculous government to run our country. Anyway, that's the reason why New Zealand hasn't made any major sanctions, because of the dithering of the Labour Party and the stupid law which says that we cannot do sanctions unless the United Nations approve it. I don't know which government did that, whether it was the national government or the Labour government. Whoever put that through is a complete idiot. Why would you ever do that, right? Every country should be able to pass its own economic sanctions if they wanted to. Absolutely ridiculous. Anyway, that's the current state of New Zealand's response to the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Just thought it might be of interest to people that might not be in New Zealand, or people in New Zealand that haven't come across this before. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comment section. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like the video, you're welcome to give it a thumbs down. And hopefully I will catch you in the next video. And please subscribe as well if you can. It just helps the YouTube algorithm to find my content. Anyway, that's it from me. Catch you next time.